Hello then guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Chelsea 0, Wolves 0. The Thomas Tuchel era has begun in quite a forgettable fashion, to be honest. It was a pretty dull game. I don't think I've seen many more dull games at Chelsea for quite a while, in terms of chance creation, in terms of the flow of the game, the way the opposition approached the game too. It wasn't the best watch. I think a lot of people, a lot of neutrals tuning in tonight to see Tuchel's Chelsea would have probably turned over to Burnley Aston Villa because that was the more exciting game. I always think it was going to be difficult for Tuchel tonight. You know, the fact that 24 hours before this game kicked off, he was taking his first training session. To expect miracles, to expect everything to click tactically was always going to be impossible. We didn't really see the new manager bounce, but I think we did for about the first maybe 20-25 minutes in terms of energy being amped up. One touch passing, you can start to see us flooding the box, and you know the idea of having Havertz and Ziyech as sort of number 8s, you know, sort of floating number 10s just behind Olivier Giroud. I quite like that idea. I felt Havertz was a lot more brighter than he has been this season. Tonight I felt at times he was unfortunate. There were moments where he made really good runs into the box, waiting for a cutback, usually from a wing back, whether that was Callum Hudson-Odoi or Ben Chilwell, not receiving the ball. He could have won the game with a header that was blocked right at the end from that last corner. So I felt he had a decent performance tonight, but I felt the issues that sort of permeated throughout the game was sort of issues we've seen before with Chelsea against low blocks, sort of Kovacic and Jorginho in that midfield, really a lack of creation, a lack of directness. I felt balls in between the lines. I felt we struggled to progress the ball more quickly to our forwards like Ziyech, like Callum Hudson-Odoi. It was always going to be interesting because, you know, Thomas Tuchel said before the game it was a very difficult lineup, and he leaned towards experience, which I can absolutely understand for this game. You know, I think anyone sort of going overboard about the lineup, I sort of rolled my eyes because I was like, well, this is this guy's first Chelsea game. You know, he wants to see all these players, and he's going to see a lot of these players, not only because of the way he approaches coaching. If you look at his history, he's someone that not only plays a lot of formations, but also rotates a lot. So we can expect that, but also the fact this is a midweek game, the fact there's going to be tons of games coming up for Chelsea once again. So Tuchel is going to be able to see a lot of his Chelsea players in the coming weeks, whether that's in the Premier League, the FA Cup, you know, a lot of rotation, which is naturally expected at this time of the season. That formation, the 3-4-2-1, felt very Conte-esque at times. And there were times in that first half with the amount of possession we had, 78 possession, it felt Sarri-esque too. But I was really intrigued to see Callum Hudson-Odoi start as right wing back. Quite incredible, and it shows what maybe Tuchel is going to bring to Chelsea in terms of shifting players in and out of positions and altering them, and seeing the way Hudson-Odoi tonight, I think, really flourished in that role. I think he was Chelsea's man of the match in what was a pretty dull affair, but he nearly scored the winner, and he stopped potentially a Wolves winner. You know, defensive work as well, I think, was brilliant from Callum Hudson-Odoi tonight. He looked up for it, he looked energetic, pretty much continuing where he left off against Luton on Sunday. He's been one of Chelsea's informed players during a difficult run, so I feel he'll be playing a lot more for Thomas Tuchel, maybe as a right wing back if he persists with this 3-4-2-1. But as we know of Tuchel in his career, he does switch around formations a lot, so it's about getting used to that as well. It's going to be quite frantic, quite chaotic, I think, in terms of predicting what goes game to game, but that's going to be bring its element of excitement too, to see where he shifts players. You know, we saw Christian Pulisic off the bench for the first time as a wing back tonight. He switched to the right wing back, and Callum switched to the left as well, so that was interesting too. Looking at Kai Havertz, I felt Kai Havertz, as I said already, I think was a bright player tonight. I think we just struggle to get the ball into the right areas, and I think that is difficult. Maybe something Tuchel's going to learn as well in terms of English football is the way teams defend very deep, and we've seen this over and over again for a number of years now with Chelsea struggling to break down low blocks, and it's going to be Tuchel's sort of job to find creative ways to break that down. I felt there were moments, you know, Ben Chilwell in the second half had a shot which went way over the bar, should have done much better getting into a really good position there. Cutting the ball back low across the box, I think, was an interesting tactic that Chelsea used tonight and could have worked on another day. You know, you hope with more chemistry and more work for Tuchel to do on the training ground, that will hopefully click sooner rather than later. I felt defensively, it's difficult, but you know, there were worrying signs. There were signs of us being done on transition, you know, giving the ball away very cheaply. Pedro Neto, of course, hitting the bar, of course, scoring the winner against us in December, nearly scored the winner against us tonight. Very lucky on that occasion. His chip hit the bar and went out. That was quite a concerning moment for me, and I think once again you saw the frailties of Jorginho, of Kovacic, of that sort of midfield being done in transition. That's something Tuchel is going to have to work with as well. Also, not really having a natural DM in this squad. I'm very intrigued to see how he approaches that problem, because the balance problem in midfield is not only Lampard, it's Sarri as well. So how he constructs his midfield, I think is going to be very interesting. I think the idea of having Kovacic, Jorginho, Havertz and Ziyech in that midfield in principle, I think sounds pretty interesting in terms of pressing the ball, in terms of having that possession and dominance within the game, which I think they bring you. It's just about that incisiveness that I think maybe a Billy Gilmour, who could be going out on loan too, or a Mason Mount absolutely can bring you. I think Mason, for me, it's Callum and Mason tonight. Those were the two players that excited me on the pitch for Chelsea. And of course, Mason came on very late, was the last sub basically, and he nearly set up a winner. You know, that lovely turn just outside the box, going into the box as well. I think once again proving why he's Chelsea's best player at the moment, and why Thomas Tuchel needs to be starting him moving forward, and why he has been starting for Chelsea over a number of weeks and number of months now under Frank Lampard too. So Mason, I think, would have impressed in that brief cameo, and Mason probably needed a rest as well. He's played so much football recently, so maybe a rest has done him good, but I expect him to be in that starting 11 on Sunday. Other than that, we saw, of course, Antonio Rudiger come back into the side. We saw Dave come back into the side. It's going to be intriguing to see. Marcos Alonso, of course, was on the bench for the first time in a while tonight. Will he feature in the team? But as well, Emerson was on the bench too. So you do wonder in terms of rotation. No Reece James, no Kurt Zouma starting. Christian Pulisic, no Werner tonight. Of course, a German connection there. Will Timo Werner come back into the side? I think that's the exciting thing going forward, is it's going to be very unpredictable these upcoming weeks in terms of the way Tuchel approaches games, because it's not only about him finding out more about his squad, it's also opponents. You know, Burnley on Sunday, I think that's going to be a similar issue of breaking down a low block. How can Chelsea do that? Pretty much against Burnley, we've done that pretty well over a number of years now, but that's going to be an issue too of how Tuchel lines up in that game. We've got Tottenham after that, a massive game, Tuchel's first big London derby, how he approaches that. So I think there's a lot of intrigue. I was excited by Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he could be a player that Tuchel will look at to really focus on and improve his game and become a key player within this side. And I think he did himself a lot of favours tonight by his performance, but it was a pretty forgettable 90 minutes, I can't lie. It was not a game you're going to be going back and watching anytime soon. And Chelsea need to start picking up points as soon as well in the Premier League. But as I say, you don't want to be harsh on Thomas Tuchel tonight. It was a very quick turnaround. It's been whiplash the last few days for Chelsea. But just seeing how he lines up and now seeing how the Thomas Tuchel era gets underway, we're going to see it in the upcoming weeks. Let me know your opinions on this game. Who is your man of the match, key performers, things you took away from Tuchel's first game as Chelsea's head coach? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.